John, just for a sec there?
Yes, yes.
Amanda made it.
Yay. Okay, at 12 o'clock, okay? Right
Okay.
you are.
Okay, I'm Denise Easton, and I am going to share my screen and then get started, but I am just so happy that, okay, let me go back here. So I try to do this, and as I share my screen, perfect. Wonderful, here we are. Oh, great. I know that it's working because I see all of you in the corner.
Just let me say one thing. This is June. If you go up to view options, one thing you can do is click on exit full screen, just so that way, if you exit full screen, you can still see the chat. And as long as your screen is big enough, you can both see the PowerPoint and see the chat. And we really hope that as you hear this, you write questions or comments or smart remarks in the chat. So back to Denise.
Okay, thank you. Absolutely. So, and please tell us about yourself. I had mentioned earlier that we wanted to make this so anyone could pop in for however long they wanted to pop in. But share, obviously we have your names, but your email and what your connection to Plexus is and anything else that might be fun to share with the network. And this has been an extraordinary 5 months, and the fact that you're showing up here today is just such gratification for all of us who have been working and who have known Plexus for a long time. As I said, my name is Denise Easton, and I am one of the catalysts, and we'll explain what that means, but I'm also chairman of the board. And we are creating this absolutely exciting, emergent, new version of Plexus called Plexus Institute 2.0. And it's an intentionally self-organizing professional network, which in and of itself is an exciting story that we want to share with you. So what we're going to talk about is what is Plexus 2.0, what is emerging, what Plexus brings to you, and what you can bring to the network. And for all of us here, even if you're not deeply immersed into complexity language, the value of a self-organizing network is the fact that each of us bring energy and effort and support and projects and ideas and concerns to the network, and then from that is how we start to really jointly solve and explore how we can make our communities and our organizations better. So we got very excited for those of who were on when Mo Ali showed up, because he's in Dubai right now. And it was exciting because we have been connecting over the last 5 months, as I said, to really sort of sort out the wonderful assets and legacy that Plexus Institute had, and to look at how it could go forward in a new way and meet the emerging needs from when it originally organized. And so this group of catalysts have been giving countless hours and time and energy and really support to bring us to where we are today. And Sonali, I'm so happy to meet you. Sonali was a former Plexus board member way before I became involved. And so it will be really wonderful to have you to share and think about where we were, and then even more importantly, where we're going. So yay, this is what self-organizing is all about. And what I wanted to do now was turn this over to June, who was really our guiding light as we were going through the process of looking at a self-organizing network. And June has been involved with Plexus for a number of years, but she really has brought us to a point where we really have bought into this concept of being a network community. And in today's world, that really is how we can get things done. So I'm going to mute myself and turn this over to June.
Well, thank you, Denise. So I was involved in Plexus from almost the beginning. And just for those of you that were involved in Plexus, it was just such a wonderful thing. If any of you went to some of the conferences that we had that brought in some of the first-rate thinkers about complexity, and I know it was really important in expanding my thinking. but one thing that we're going, but pretty much Plexus operated, as a traditional organization. And so what we're hoping to do in this iteration is to have it walk the talk, to actually operate as a self-organizing network and organization, and hope that that can really support us in our work, even focus more, not just on the thinking, but also on the practice. How can we apply this to our work to help us all co-create a world that's good for everyone? And so I have been working with networks for many, I think about 30 years now. And the idea that's always intrigued me most was this idea of self-organizing. Now, we know about flocks of birds are self-organizing and slime molds, but for us, I think starting with this idea that self-organizing means that we can see something that needs to happen or have an idea or a project and get others to help us make some experiment happen. That then we can all we can share about and learn with others. And we really want Plexus to operate in that way. And what that means is that not only are we going to be self-organizing in our work, so that there are going to be projects that people come up with that we can support in various different ways, but we want to operate in that way too. And this is just a sort of a new area for networks and organizations to operate. If any of you read the book Reinventing Organizations, which is about teal organizations and having circles to do all the operations functions. So we're going to go into examples of those, but circles that can, say, help set up a web page, or circles that can take all the wonderful, massive resources that are on the website, but have been pretty much unavailable, and help make them really accessible to everyone out there. So before we have Amanda with us, who is has drawn these wonderful visuals and based on some metaphors that she's come up with to explain what Plexus is going to be. But before we do that, for those that like the clarity of definitions, I'm going to just go through a few definitions that we're going to be using so you don't get kind of confused by this. So we use the term catalyst, and that is the leaders, people who are interested in helping move Plexus forward. And there are about 10 or 12 of us now, and we're really hoping that some of the rest of you are interested in joining, because if you want to learn about this new 21st century way of operating that's very valuable for networks, for organizations, whatever, we're going to be experimenting. We're going to be right there on the leading edge, figuring out how these things work practically. So we have catalysts who have been initiating and getting things started. We have this term called clusters, where just people who are interested in some common kind of thing, it might be a problem, it might be an issue, it might be a practice, can begin to get together and discuss. And of course, we are a mostly virtual organization. And now that we have Zoom, which has not only is easy to use, but has breakout rooms, the power of our ability to convene is really amazing. We're also going to try to organize and support projects that it may be you're working, quite a few of you were mentioning very intriguing projects, and we're hoping that we will be able to support those and encourage others to start up. And then we use the term circles to talk about the operational projects. So instead of thinking of committees, what we're doing is saying, as a need emerges okay, we need to raise some money. We're going to form a circle to try some innovative ways to raise money for Plexus. So that's the way we use circles. And pop-ups, which is my new favorite word, is just the idea, hey, you want to learn about something with someone, or you want to get a little peer assist, some advice from the rest of us, you can say, hey, I'm interested in doing a pop-up, a one-time activity. And we will try to help set up a sort of a Zoom call for that and make sure there's some people show up. Okay, so now let's turn it over to Amanda, who is going to share her visualizations with us.
And before Amanda jumps in, I'm going to turn to the first slide. I really want to acknowledge something that's just been amazing for all of us who've worked on this project. Is we were grappling with a lot of words and terms and trying to find a way to articulate this and understand it ourselves, but then to share it with the broader community. And Amanda just said, give me a few days. And what she has done really is part of this whole self-organizing process, but really leveraged it to a completely new level. And she was able to bring all of us into this immediate sense of clarity. And so, Amanda, the work is amazing. And I actually believe that's going to be part of the model as any organization goes forward. So bravo and thank you. I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise and June. I am super excited to jump in and share, also to add a little bit to what Denise said. I work with visuals a lot, and I find that they completely can change what's going on in a group, change what's going on in a room. And really, it's not necessarily about beauty. To me, beauty is this side effect that happens, and that it's really about helping us get clearer on what they are. And so to put some visuals in front of folks, or to draw them out together, which is even better in my world, and for them to be kind of messy and maybe even ugly, forgive the beeping. I live in New York City. Let me know if it gets annoying and I will shut my windows. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. And so visuals just have this way of allowing us to take our words out of ourselves and put them in different places in what we might consider a complex way too, and it's not always so linear as words can be. And so it sort of frees us from some of that to really understand how things move together. And some of the most amazing thing is when you don't get it right the first time. People can be like, oh, wow, no, that part's not right. That was an assumption that I made as the person who drew it, or that so-and-so made as the person who drew it. So I could talk about this forever, so I won't, but again, they really help us bring up those questions. And so jumping into what happened here and with Plexus, our metaphor here is that there's sort of a big ocean, a big body of water in which there are, I'm getting a serenade, in which there are lots of real world problems going on around the world, and maybe they're looked at as sharks, as whirlpools, as, some crazy waves. And, there's also some stillness. And so Plexus is showing up, maybe in a boat this time, and with lots of different people and ideas. And some of those are, go ahead, Denise. So jumping into help us think about catalysts. Again, these are the self-organizing leaders, the folks who are ready to jump in and start initiating, influeing, and coordinating. We're talking about clusters. These clusters are groups that will focus on a particular network activity or project. So we have both network clusters, which really think about how the network's going to work, like what are the logistics, what are the other things that we need to happen, and then project clusters are all about what people are interested in. So diving a little deeper into the network clusters and what a couple of them are that we've identified so far, we have an admin cluster, which includes finance and resources and some other things. A communications cluster, which includes some communications, which we're going to go into again, I think, later, so I'll save that one. And knowledge sharing and learning. So those are the three sort of network clusters that we've identified, and they might change at some point in time, depending on the needs of the network. Project clusters. So these are really, as June said before, they're projects that are real life applied things that people are excited to gather a group around and explore further and learn further together. And so I'm going to pause here real quick and just ask the couple of us that are on the line to see if there are any examples that people want to put out for what project clusters what projects might be.
And also any reactions so far on what we're talking about. Can you see yourself in this Plexus 2.0? Feel free to go ahead and talk. You can unmute yourself and just share, or you can share in the chat if that feels more comfortable. But we would like some people to talk.
Well, I'd like to mention a project that I've been working on with a hospital system here that has some camps, and looking at, there's already a set of data proving that the camps help the kids with long-term chronic illnesses with their resiliency. And we also know that the camps positively affect the resilience of the pediatricians that get involved in the camps. And today, talking to the director of the camps, we realized that the kids also do better in school. And then perhaps instead of looking within the hospital system to see the positive effect of these camps, looking externally to the school system and seeing how the positive effects of the camps ripple out to the school systems.
Great example, and I'm hoping that we will be able to help you think this through a little bit together. How about anyone else?
Yes, John Pabu Singh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm particularly, as a semi-retired physician educator, I'm trying to help groups of medical educators and healthcare people to think in terms of networks and connectivity. We live in a world of individualism, both in the education system and in our culture. And I go right back to actually what is meant by practice, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between a job description and a practice, which involves the connectivity. And there's just a single page in Etienne Wenger's book from 1997 or whatever, it just goes into the difference. And practice really, the difference between job description and practice is the connectivity. And to get people to think in terms of that, because at this moment, they start to look for help when they have a project, as opposed to managing and creating a network that can be used to grow solutions as well as try and solve cold-faced problems. And I think my major task right now is talking to 2 and 3 groups like this to try and get them to think in terms of the value of connectivity.
Yes, and that's, I think, one of the things that we've been really working on is trying to, let's just, yeah. Do we need to mute? Okay. Done.
Is it me? I'm not sure.
I think it is you, John.
Is it?
Get on mute for just a second. Just try it. You click mute down in the bottom left-hand corner.
It's probably not him because he has headphones on. It's probably somebody who's using speakers.
Okay, could we get everybody? We have everybody pretty much is muting themselves, except me. Okay, now it's whatever it is, it's gone away. I just wanted to say, John, that one thing that a number of us have been exploring is that Zoom has made communities of practice really easy to do and very, very valuable. And so that's something, again, that I think Plexus is really interested in figuring out how we can do communities of practice of people interested in building practices in this area. And I heard some people talk about that. So.
Yeah, I think that, and I joined the last conference with Tony Suchman, in which we discussed the same issue. But it's how to move beyond the choir. I think is the issue. I just have one personal note. Are you the June Holly of Holly and Krebs?
Yes.
I think I have cited that paper probably 1,000 times.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's still, so I'll put the link in just a minute to the paper that Valdis Krebs and I did many years ago, called Building Communities. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's great because it talks about stages of network evolution, but it includes a self-organizing piece as well. And I'll try to find that.
Can I respond to something that John said? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I appreciated what John said in terms of when people think about establishing a network because they have a project need, they have a need for the people to the network, versus thinking about establishing the network before the need arises. And I think about when we develop networks, we are trying to build the capacity and capability of the members to engage and learn together and be in conversation to support each other's work. That be the purpose of creating the network, so that when a project or another arises, they are already in place to address it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. And that's precisely what this whole concept of self-organizing is for Plexus. And it's really exciting because I think it does bring the people together so that we can sort of collaboratively look at how to move forward. So I'm going to just ask Amanda if you are there to just jump back in, and then we'll have another. We'll get through this first part of it, and then we'll be able to have a longer chat.
Perfect. Thank you, Denise. So yeah, so project clusters could be a lot of different things depending on interests. So circles would be formed for a specific topic or activity. And so you might see circles within clusters even. So to dive a little bit deeper into the communications cluster, there looks like there will be a social media circle, an e-news email circle, a web page circle, and a Zoom training circle. And folks might jump into these circles just based on their interest, right? And they also, you'll see in the photo here, or in the image, that it looks as though there's the same amount of people in each of them, but that also might not be true. There could be 2 or 3 in one and 12 in another, depending on needs and interests. And then we have pop-ups. So this one-time session, something that somebody has some knowledge or expertise in and wants to share it with the group, or the group has asked maybe somebody to do that, and anybody can jump into those, and they might look similar to this today.
Amanda, it's BJ. I have a question.
Sure, go for it.
I think about clusters, the network clusters, and even the circles, the way you're describing them, that it sounds like you're imagining them for sort of the ongoing infrastructure, operational, structure, process, stuff, data, whatever you need to just create the shell, so that then you may have, whether it be one-off pop-up, one-off days, or one-off projects that's causing something to happen, or something gets worked on or whatever. But it's sort of the difference between infrastructure, daily, it's there to leverage for everybody and create the environment of Plexus in a virtual way, versus the stuff we're running through the pipes, shall we say.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Okay, there's the pipes, and then there's the stuff we run through the pipes.
Yeah.
Okay. You're smiling.
So here,
we're all smiling.
Okay, I'm on the right page. Then I'm going to mute myself and keep on listening. Thank you.
You are on the right page, and I was just going to ask if you had a further question, or if it was just to see if you're on the right page.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was translating it right, because otherwise it would be too divergent for me to have to go all the way back to the beginning again.
Perfect.
It would sound like I was arguing when I was just trying to clarify.
No,
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Well, BJ, you might want to check out this book, Reinventing Organizations by Frederick Laloux. It's really the best explanation of how you can change from traditional operations to this more dynamic kind of operational model. And it's something that I know a number of us are experimenting with a number of different organizations and networks to try and see if this can be a way to engage more people in the operations of Plexus. Because a
I'll have
lot
a
of
look
people
at it. I think that I've been doing this kind of work for like 20 years. So,
Oh, we'd
there
love
you
to
go.
hear your experience. So we'll try to make sure we have an opportunity. Oh, by the way, everybody, please make sure we didn't have a way to collect your emails. And so we are going to want to get back to you about like, how can we support your work? Or could you do a pop-up or, whatever. And so if you would please in the chat, send your email or send it to Denise, who sent you this notice. Please send your email so we can, we won't push anybody to be involved in any way that doesn't make sense, we assure you. But we do want to check in with you to see how we can support you and what you might be interested in sharing with others.
Mm-hmm. And as June said, I'm already thinking, oh, there are about 4 or 5 really interesting pop-ups. And again, as we're on this page, they're really an opportunity to put a little bit of a stake in the ground, or maybe it's one of those bendable pipes, right? So we won't have it be a linear image. But it's really valuable to get feedback, to introduce new ideas. And it's one of the things that we can do as a network, is to really be able to offer that. And then also to use this structure to leverage the assets and resources, the intellectual property that Plexus has, but ways that are relevant for today. I've had numerous conversations over the last few weeks with folks who have like, oh, whatever happened to Edgeware? Where are those primers on complexity? Can you explain complexity again? So I think we have a lot of opportunities to bring new conversations around how complexity is being applied and used in today's environment, not 25 years ago. And because the conversations have changed, people didn't think about, the fact that it's not only given in any system, but that it's really a tool that we can use to make our systems more resilient. So I'm going to just use this opportunity again, because I can, to turn it back to June. We have two more slides that just go back up into the 20,000 foot view. And we'll explain a little bit more about the network, and then we can stop for questions, and then I'll go through the conclusion, and they'll be open for more questions. Okay, June.
Well, I think we've really covered most of this, but to say, we are going to continue to have a board because of the fiduciary accountability and legal requirements of being a nonprofit, and so we can get grant money, whatever. But really, we believe that most of the work of Plexus, as it has been so far, and we've had such a wonderful time. We've been experimenting these 12 catalysts that we are in a number of different, quite a few calls over the last few months, and subgroup calls, and or what are we, circles. Coming this far along, and we hope that some of you will join us, and that can continue, because what chance do you have to get in on the ground floor with an organization and helping it organize in this new self-organizing way? We hope that as much Plexus as possible will operate through circles. And the nice thing about circles is that it's not saying you have to be on the communications committee and put in 4 hours every month. It's saying for the next 2 months, we're going to have 2 calls, and through those calls, we're going to figure something out that's important for Plexus, and then you'll be done until you get excited by the next call. So we're going to try to do that for operations. We also are really interested in the supporting projects. Part of the thing is we really have no resources to speak of right now. That's one thing we're going to be working on, is trying to get some resources for simple coordination. That's really what we need, is a coordinated function for this network. But we are still going to have some pop-ups. I think Bruce has already mentioned one here. We're encouraging you to, in the chat, go ahead and share other ideas for projects. If you have a project that wants something like a peer assist, again, that's kind of a pop-up. So you say, oh, I'd love to hear from experienced complexity practitioners. I'd love to get some feedback on my project. So let us know if that's something that you want, and we can try to work together to organize something. Also, some of you have fabulous stuff to share. And I think we're going to go through here and say, oh, okay, we could get, BJ and Carrie to be on a pop-up where we explore different ways that people are trying to complexify their organizations or have experienced in their practice. So please let us know in the chat if you are, what some of your interests are, how you could contribute to Plexus, what would be really helpful if Plexus could coordinate with you and setting up. We can't do anything really ambitious at the beginning, but I still think we can do a lot with minimal resources. Any questions, comments?
I think Eitan raised his hand. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Denise. Thanks, Jonah. I mean, I'm really interested. How do you see the Plexus 2.0 connecting with other? I think there's a lot of maturity in the field right now. The Omidyar group is doing a lot on complexity in civil society, and others, they just came up with a very interesting online course.
Mm-hmm. Very excellent course.
And a manual. Yeah, I've seen the videos. I didn't take the whole things, but I think it was really, really well invested in. And others, like there's a conference now in February coming up in Saragossa by a university, Yanir, I don't remember the name of the professor, but a lot of other things are happening. And I think once you start wanting to get the energy there, I mean, what's your plans about that? I don't know how you're thinking.
Well, I think among all that, we are pretty connected to some of that stuff out there, and I'm
sure.
But you're right. I think initially it's just going to have to be different individuals of us connecting, finding out, sharing. Like I think that we do have a group email, and we need to be sharing those kinds of things that are happening out there. That's probably the first step, because it doesn't really cost anything. I think later on, as we get additional resources, and some of those folks like Omidyar and such, I have pretty good relationships with them. It'd be great to try to get some resources for Plexus to expand our coordinative capacity, to interact with some of these other things that are happening out in the field.
And I think, and it's a really important question, because, we could all, the small little group of catalysts, could spend 24 hours a day trying to do, to reach out and to build in our own networks and bring them together. So, but the things that we did do, which is a great segue, where I'm going to pick up again to what we have. If you haven't already checked out the new website, there was a lot of thought and effort put into it to redesign it so that it was quote unquote light, that it has all of our essential resources, which we hope will prompt people to say, I'd really like to delve in deeper. We have a great database that exists with papers and other assorted versions of how we got from point A to point Z, which we can access if somebody is doing research or wants to spend the time to say, hey, let's pull that and recurate it. But also we have events, and so I would love to, and we will be sending information out to everyone who's on the site in our mailing list, and please invite people to join. We will be including other events that people say, this is coming up, this conference, this 4-day learning center, here are resources. We have blog posts that any one of you can share or encourage other people to share. We'll post them. So it really becomes a matter of, once people are out there and generating the content that's consistent with what Plexus wants to do, you know, I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning posting them. I don't want to be the only one person doing it. So if anyone loves doing that, please let us know. But we really, all joking aside, really want to be able to get the information in so we can start to generate the traffic. And then as June said, you know, the objective is then to be able to find the adequate support from, you know, just from those logistical ways. But how are we going to do this? And I think we've been pretty clear about it, but it's an open network. And so unlike, I know Plexus at one point was membership with fees and then wasn't membership with fees, and the new network is an open network for sharing, learning, and collaborating. So what you get out of it to some extent is what you bring to it. We do have this curated repository of content and models, and are also looking to add more, you know, visualization. Yay, Amanda! But media. We're hoping to do short videos on some of the primary complexity terms like that primer, but have it be really visual and have that start to be populated and shared on our YouTube channel. We've just published, hurrah, the latest version of Adaptive Positive Deviance as a book. It's a guide. It's really practical. It's a wonderful way to bring that work out in the world, and there are a number of us who are really interested in hearing about different types of projects that may want to just experiment or integrate, you know, a APD part of the project. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to do maybe a workshop in the next 2 months that would be virtual, that would start to chunk down some of the APD steps and then share them on a broader basis. And then, as you know, we've said, it's not only the connection to network projects, but it's really the fact that Plexus will be, if it's only one project, and June and I are thinking about one, that this group of catalysts and other people who are involved will be able to bring forth a project and then share it on a broader basis. So it's not just asking everybody to bring their stuff, but it's also being able to share out. And we have a really solid framework, if you look at that. And now the question is, what can we do to start to build, connect, and then expand the framework? So what's available today is the website. Share it, folks. Use it. Let us know what works, what doesn't work. Really, blogs, articles, things of that nature that we can pretty easily attach to, and then, you know, sort of promote for you as well. Plexus calls and pop-ups. We have 2 Plexus calls coming up, and then the pop-ups, I'm just hoping that we're popping up all over the place. And so I love that too. It's pretty easy. We have the Zoom room. We'll put it in the event calendar, and we'll find people to support you.
Right, so we do have the Zoom, and I know Denise and I have both done tons of, and I think maybe Abby too, have done tons of Zoom sessions, and so we can be there as your tech support, and you're ready to go. And then we will send out the emails to bring people into the pop-up. So go ahead and start making suggestions for those at any point.
Exactly. And we do have a really cool complexity newsletter that goes out weekly. It's our constant contact. We've redesigned it a little bit to make it a little bit lighter and brighter, and to really encourage social media. And we also, so if you're interested in writing an article, or there's some really interesting, compelling work, that's a wonderful way. It goes out to over 5,000 people now. So, and we're constantly building new connections to new groups, and hope that you all are sharing on your social media, because that's really critical. Updated archives of curated content exist. They are on the website. And then, as we said, new learning and project opportunities. We've mentioned a few that are really definitive that we'll be announcing soon, but are really looking for other ways in which, you know, it becomes this sort of self-generating conversation where we're doing things, people are bringing things together, and it's that magic of what could happen next. And it is, I'll tell you, it's messy magic. That's my new term. I tell that to everybody. And so here's the big ask. What do we need from you? and I'm very sorry, but Marcus Kramer, who has been one of the catalysts who has been pushing us to, let's make sure we're really specific on what we need from everybody else. It's not just what we've done. And he's unable to be here today, but we really need the energy, the effort, the expertise, and the financial support. So to some extent, we've said, why does Plexus matter to you? And how can you make us go forward? And as it's an experiment, but it's an experiment that's really based on an incredible pedagogy. And I ask people to think about, what would it be like if Plexus wasn't here? And I'm happy that we've done this. Has been magical, truly, and it's been really important for the work that we've done individually and collectively. But we really do need to be able to have it be sustaining, because as June and I said when we came on, we're so tired right now, energized but tired. Sorry, that went a little bit faster. So you can join a cluster or circle. You can tell us something that we're missing that you want to do. You be a catalyst, and there's no magic to it being 12 people or 200 people, but it really is a matter of, you're going to get the support by giving the support. And so propose your projects, jump into something that is emerging, share your work. And we've put out a donation opportunity. It's sort of name your price, which I think is really cool. But like anything else, if you believe in the work, then please feel free to share it and to make a donation. If you know grants or other projects that may be able to support Plexus, that's also very cool. We do have, we are a 501c and 3, and we can sort of support and be within those parameters. But what we want to do is we want to make sure there's enough diversity in the types of programs we're doing, so that we're not limiting ourselves to any one field or any one industry. Oops, why is that coming up? Oh, turn that down. And last but not least, I say spread the news wide and far. And Abby, I'm so happy you were here. Maybe you got the email from me reaching out to the Liberating Structures meetup group. But I've just, it's been I really mean an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be part of so many other groups and work with so many terrific people. And they have sustained me for a number of years. And when you spread the word on something that's cool, people come, and it's amazing how exciting it is to hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, I read that email and I went to that and that was really cool." So please do that. We have all the right things, and on LinkedIn, I'm really hoping that we'll start to be able to generate some greater activity there as well. And you can always reach us at admin@plexusinstitute.org to share feedback. And we will be then posting all of the Catalyst emails on there, so that you can reach out to any one of them. And we're hoping that in the next few weeks, we will have specific, Zoom meetings around really specific, both administrative and operational work, but then even more important, about some of the projects that are starting to emerge. So I'm going to mute myself, and then I'm going to also stop sharing the screen so we can see everybody, and then have an open conversation for the next few minutes.
In case anyone didn't see it, if you want to save this chat, since it's so juicy and full of links, just over in the bottom right-hand corner, it says more. If you click on that, there's a little pull-down menu, and at the end, you can just save the chat. We can also send it out or put it on the web page, but in case you want to get at some of those interesting-looking links, I know I do, for books and people, you'll be able to access that right away. It'll just download on your desktop. It'll be a small ugly text file, but great. Okay, so it's if any of you want to share your thoughts about what you want Plexus to do, what you want to contribute to Plexus, that would be great to hear. Thoughts and ideas?
Hi, this is Sonali.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very glad to see the 3 points on the slide. So the open network, curated content, and I'm forgetting the third one. So I was in one of the meetings where they decided to do away with the membership fees. So very happy to see that it's gone the full length. I think it takes time to have the courage to, finish the cycle of transformation. So glad to see that come the full way. The curated content I think is very important because the stuff that's on the Plexus website is I probably don't find it elsewhere, mostly like the things I'm looking for. So I think that's very valuable. I do think, not that I have any ideas, but I think we're still grappling with the financial inflow. And I think some more imagination is needed to figure that out. I think that's still a sticky point, but
I
but
think we've got a
congratulations, fantastic.
few ideas. If you're interested in working with me on that, I think we've got a few innovative ideas.
So, but very happy to see today where you've reached today. Yeah.
Thank you.
As John Paul was saying, I'd certainly be interested. I'm sort of semi-retired. I think I've retired about 5 or 6 times and come back again.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I just to use a phrase from your paper, which I haven't read for a while now, but it's the birds of a feather. I think then, and we use the word choir quite often too, but how to break out from that to the great unwashed out there who really needs to be I would say to help them to create the passion. And I think once you've got the passion in an area, then I think it's at that stage that I usually start to look for funding, because it's the passion that gets the funders interested. And so I would really be interested in looking around to see how I can help. I have got a group together of 8 educators, and we've used between WebEx and PBWorks for our various projects and papers. And so I would really be interested in following the activities here and seeing how I can participate.
John, could you put your last name and your email and maybe where you're located in the chat? Do you see where to do that in the bottom right?
Yes, I think I've put my email address already, but I'll do it again.
Yeah, it's been moving so fast. Okay, anyone else? Want to share a little?
So I'll just say I've been here for about a week and a half in Dubai, and I've been cold messaging people in LinkedIn who are looking to do interesting stuff here, who are doing something interesting here. And one lady that I met just the other day has heard of Plexus. She's familiar with Plexus and complexity science. And I was like, I'm going to connect you to the group so you can come up to date with what's happening and what's changing. And she said, sure. So I've met 2 people, and one of them has heard of you and practices systems thinking inside organizations that she helps. So I'm looking forward to connecting her here.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Are you involved in the new medical school in Dubai?
No, I've just gotten here, so I'm just running around and trying to network widely.
Okay.
Yeah, not working currently.
Yeah,
still looking.
Yeah, because I was emailing with someone who is involved in that medical school, Dave Davis, and I introduced him to the Barrett Anand book called The Content Gap, which is another book that I would very much recommend to our colleagues here.
Content Gap.
Gap from Barrett Anand, who is a Harvard professor of strategy and the founder of HBX, their new online system at Harvard Business School that really uses the principles behind connectivity of learners and digitize them on their new online system.
Cool. I'll check it out. Thank you.
And I'm going to have to take off. I've got to hop on another call right away. So great meeting all of you, and I'm sure we'll be in touch. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, June. And so we have Christina. How are you? I don't know if you can unmute yourself and just share a little bit. It's nice to see you. Hi.
I'm now teaching at master's level healthcare administration and leadership, but my doctoral work was on data visualization and business intelligence tools for nurse leaders, or healthcare leaders. But I was in industry for many years in nursing, then went into association work, and then with a GIS company. So I'm just very passionate that we raise up healthcare leaders of tomorrow with the competencies they need, but also with integrity, and to be able to move out in a very complex, crazy world in ways that we can promote them taking risks and being more innovative. So this group would be great to leverage. And that's, I'm a little bit of an outlier because I haven't done the traditional staying in particularly nursing. I have a dual master's in public health from Carolina, but I really feel like we can help each other know better how to raise up challenging opportunities for students to grow and to be okay to be different.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's when you said an outlier, I was going to say we're all outliers, you know, and the fun part about that is, I mean, I started an educational technology company and I was in banking and I'm an OD person and passionate about connecting and finding possibilities for any system. So it is by virtue of the fact that there is no one right path or solution that I think brings people together at Plexus, and education has become such a critical. There are these huge, giant, I don't even know if they're too big for clusters even, but these huge areas of content and also of need. Education, healthcare, listen to the conversations that people have come up with. But I would love to have a conversation, Christina, regarding the new adaptive positive deviance work and how that can become, that whole model can become a way to start to address some of those educational things. What are the other ways that you think about, here's a case study, here's a problem, here's a course? How do you start to introduce some of the complexity terms and methodologies and thinking? It's all about thinking, and then have people go, oh yeah, I never thought about that. So it almost becomes a game, if you may. How do you really introduce it in a way that is integrative versus separating it? So anyway, but thank you. So yes, please, let's keep in touch. If you haven't put your email in there, please, I ask you.
I have, and one of the things I'm interested in is about adoption of new technologies, innovation, and what factors are the individual or organizational that inhibit or promote adoption of new innovative things. So that's an area of research that I'm going to be pursuing, I hope. And if anybody has any resources on that, I'd love to discuss it with them, because I didn't find any tools for healthcare, but maybe elsewhere about tools to evaluate the individual or organizational factors with adoption of innovation or technology.
Yep, I'll definitely circle back around that with you. Absolutely. And then one other comment I wanted to to bring up with John. We had a gentleman who was on the call on Tuesday, Mike Taylor. Is Amanda going? Oh, let me just, you want to say, unmute yourself and say goodbye.
I just want to say thank you guys all for showing up, for being here. Rock on Complexity, and I can't wait to see you in the next pop-up project, whatever have you. So again, thanks, and enjoy your fabulous weekend. Sorry to jump off early. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks. And so, John, I wanted to mention this gentleman, Mike Taylor, who is been involved in education, nursing. Maybe some of you know him. He was involved with Plexus for a while, but his interesting new concept is looking at building compassionate practices. Sounds like pretty familiar with what John was possibly saying, but compassionate practices for millennials. I think it's compassionate practices for everybody. So at some point in time, John, I was just saying that I would like to introduce you to Mike, and I think that he would be very interested in finding a way for people to start to say, how do you actually, structure it so that it can be brought out in small iterative experiments to other organizations and networks. So
I'd be happy to join that. Yes.
Perfect. And so, Bruce, would you like to jump in for a little? Bruce is one of our catalysts as well. I
You
think
must
of
have
all
seen
of you.
me reaching for the unmute button there. I don't know. It was perfect timing. So thanks, Denise, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And if you were following some of the comments as they flowed by in the chat earlier, one of the things that I have been corresponding with Denise about, and that I'm going to do a pop-up about, we've been talking about what is sort of the core narrative here. What's the value proposition in this Plexus 2.0 venture? So that if you or I or, we meet people, just as some of you have come here, you've met folks who somehow connected you to this and got you here today. What is it about this that attracted you? What is the story that you would tell to somebody else to say, this is why you should come and be a part of this effort and this initiative? And hand in hand with that, I've talked about and been thinking about, are there sort of, as we do this together, are there sort of core operating principles or values, some short set of simple rules is a term you'll hear in complexity literature, but some short set of criteria that we would use to filter and assess ideas and options and coordinate action through that lens so that we can be optimally productive and generate the most good outcomes for everybody. So Denise had suggested, and I've agreed to do a pop-up about that, and I think we'll work out the date and the terms pretty quickly, but I'm really excited about what I see and hear on the call today, and I see Denise nodding and so on, and the energy, I feel the energy coming through the screen here on my iPad. It's good stuff. Thank you all.
Thanks, Bruce. And so it's 2:02. I can hang out for as long as anybody wants, but I also want to be pretty respectful of everybody's time. So, Mary, it's really nice to see you. We've been connected for a long time, but I haven't seen you in a long time. Can you unmute yourself for a second?
Yes, I do. I think I just did. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm not real good with this camera technology on my computer.
Oh,
so,
you're perfect. You're
yeah.
Perfect.
I just in response to the gentleman who spoke a moment ago, I'm one of those that have just been attracted to this energy of people who understand various perspectives, but something about complexity as it relates to social systems. And I don't run into that very often in my work and my practice. So I like having a community that I can connect with once in a while. And I certainly am interested in what this Plexus 2.0 self-organization movement forward will entail. So I'll be tracking with you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And so I think I hope we've heard from everybody, everybody now. So if anyone has anything else they'd like to add, I am going to reach out to all of you. And Etan and I had been changing emails, and I have so many interesting ideas to share. And one of the things that I think is important is we each bring, you know, our own work outside of the Plexus world. And that's really cool because every conversation we have, every idea, it just filters back through, you know, through the other work and the other communities that we're part of. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with some or all of you around, you know, interesting work that you're doing, work that's happening at Plexus, and that's really the proposition, Bruce. What's in it for the community is how we bring what we're doing, bring ourselves, our sense of selves, and then we draw it out of it. It doesn't always have to be in that center node. So Bruce and I have been having this conversation, so I think it's going to be a cool thing. Anyway, thank you all. Barb, I'm so happy. You'll have to fill me in on the conversation you had this morning with the hospital. That is such a cool project, such a cool project. And Mo, I'm so happy to see your face. I will even stay up really late at night as long as I can see you occasionally, because I have missed not seeing you. Eitan, Sonali, please, 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 let's find a way that we can talk again. I'm up all the time, so do a lot of work in Asia, so I'm always happy for your morning calls, my late calls, and that would be really terrific. So, and
Great.
thanks,
I'd like
John.
that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn the recording off, and let's see, stop